Hi, welcome to Xavier University's Women in Business and the Xavier Leadership Center's Leading the Way Women in Business series. In this series, we'll share insights from women leaders on how they're leading during this unique time. Today's guest is Bonnie Curtis. Bonnie is the Chief Human Resource Officer at the Castellini Group of Companies. Hi, Bonnie, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. Why don't you tell us briefly, everybody knows the name Castellini in Cincinnati. What does the Castellini Group of Companies do?
Well, I think most people know Castellini from the Reds, who aren't playing right now, so that's a whole different discussion. Castellini started over 100 years ago in produce, and we're still in produce. So we sell produce, we have trucking, we are an essential business right now, and we're up and running because we're selling food to Kroger.
Awesome, awesome. Well, how are you taking care of yourself during these times?
Oh, that's a great question. Now that it's getting light, I make a point to go walk 2 miles every day when I get home. And that's been nice because a lot of people are social distancing out walking. So I'm doing that. And the other thing I'm trying to do is one good deed of the day. And that was easy for about a week. And then I ran out of good deeds. So what I'm doing now is I am once a day at night, I've made a commitment that I'm going to phone every single person in my phone book and talk to them. And
Oh, wow.
it's been amazing. I've talked to 2 of my mother's friends. One is 96, the other one's 90. And they were both born in Europe, and hearing the stories of World War II versus this, it really helps put everything in perspective. So that's been my good deed of the day now, is calling one person a day and talking to them. And that's how I'm keeping my sanity.
Oh, that's terrific advice for all of us. I'll have to reach out to somebody I haven't in a while. I know I've been stocking up on a few things like hair color that I normally don't do. What have you been stocking up on that's not toilet paper?
Nothing. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to go gray. And by the time I get back, I think I'm going to have 3 inches of gray. And I've already talked to my hairdresser and said, here's the deal. I want you to cut it off and let me see what it looks like, because I would have never had the guts to do this otherwise. So yeah, there was a lot of toilet paper stocking in the beginning, but right now I think we're good.
Good. Glad to hear it. So during this time of pandemic, how are you leading during this time?
Great question. Communication has been the number one thing, and I'm sure you've heard that from other people. I'm in HR. We have a lot of people working from home for the first time ever. We have people afraid to be in a room together with other people because we're making everybody wear face masks. So we've gotten really good at doing Microsoft Teams, Zoom, GoToMeeting, whatever you want to use. And when this started, I grabbed the HR team. There's probably 10 of us working at different sites, and said, we're having a meeting every morning at 7:30. I need you on the call and I need to see your face. So no double tasking. We're committed. We're on the call. And at the end of that meeting, I send a note out to the leadership team and say, here's what we learned today, because the rules are changing fast, right? We have a meeting at 5 o'clock every day with the leadership team, again, recapping the day. Nobody's in the same room. We're all face. We've sent out notes on how to exercise in 7 minutes with some YouTube video. Because what I'm finding now is I'm sitting at my desk all day long. There's nowhere to go. I'm just sitting one meeting to another. So how do we stay healthy while we're doing that, and how do we stay connected? We are having parking lot town halls now, with kind of a boombox speaker thing to get everybody together that's at work. So the number one thing I think for us has been really amping up the communication so that people, and we're very, very busy right now, so people know what we're doing day to day. And I'm hoping when this is over that there's aspects of this that we're going to be able to keep. Because I think having these Zoom meetings when you can't be in the same room and see people's faces, we never used to do that. And that has turned out, my admin is at home, and every day she looks gorgeous, all the makeup and everything. I said, Debbie, you really don't need to do this. And she goes, if you're looking at my face, I'm going to look gorgeous. And so there's some sense of normalcy here when you do that as well, right? Even if you're at home, you get up, you get dressed, and you get on the call. So
There is a sense of normalcy, and I've been trying to make sure I still dress for business, so my mind is thinking about business. There are a lot of skills that you're leaning on here. What would be a good soft skill that you're saying, boy, I'm really leaning on this during this time?
I think empathy. It's been fascinating. So I would say about 5% of the employees are figuring out how they can take advantage of this. and totally misbehaving. And we have had to really toe the line on, these are acceptable behaviors at work, and you need to keep exhibiting these acceptable behaviors even during COVID-19. I think 5% are on the other end of the spectrum, truly scared and believing they're going to die. And so it's like talking them off the cliff. And everybody else just taking on a day-to-day basis and understanding that we are not of the same mindset day to day. I mean, some of us have relatives that are sick, have relatives we're afraid are going to get sick, wish this was all over so we could get back to normal, want to go to restaurants and gyms and can't. And so just trying to meet people where they are in conversation and not knowing where anybody is from day to day has been a challenge. And I'd say that's probably the soft skill that I'm using more than anything, is just empathy.
Well, that's an important one. You're being able to feel how they're feeling as well and seeing things through their lens. On the business skill side, what business skill are you really leaning on right now?
For COVID-19, trying to balance how much money we're spending on extra things versus figuring out how to keep the enterprise running. And my boss is the CEO. We've had lots of conversations of, we could go do this now, and that would save us a bunch of money. What are the downsides of this? And about half the time we've chosen not to do the thing that saves money because it's going to be too upsetting with the organization. The other half of the time we're saying, no, the money's too big. We're going to learn how to manage through it. So I would say the business skill is balancing the P&L thing with the people thing right now.
Good, good. Tough considerations on every front with that.
Yep, yeah.
If you could look back at your mid-career self and you could give yourself advice on how to navigate through this, what would you tell the 15-year ago or 10-year ago Bonnie Curtis?
It's not about me. I personalized a lot of things. I've had people, my peers, just say wretched things to me during this COVID-19. And 15 years ago, I would have gone in my office, shut the door, and burst into tears. What I do now is I go in the office, shut the door, take a deep breath, and say, why did he just say that to me? And I realize he's totally stressed. He's behind the 8 ball on some of this stuff. And he's probably worried about his health. And so I'm just going to let this one go. And that's the maturity thing that I think I'm grateful I have it now. And wished I'd had it 15 years ago.
How do you think, you mentioned it earlier, so how do you think your business is going to be different post-pandemic?
There's going to be a whole bunch of people that want to work from home all the time. We've got to figure out what the policy is on that, because previous to this, nobody was allowed to work from home in this industry. I mean, this is a very old school private industry where you typically don't let anybody work from home. I think we're going to come out of that with something different. I think the connections are going to be different. And I hope, there is a sense of kindness that I think is, when I walk down the street on my walk now, everybody says hi, even though they're behind a mask, you can tell they're smiling. I hope that kindness continues at work and elsewhere as we get through this.
I like that thought. I hope kindness continues. I hope so too. Speaking of hope, what's giving you hope right now?
Well, this is Earth Day, and I know the air pollution's a whole lot better. So I know the airplanes are going to go back in the air and the cars are going to go back on the road, but this gave the Earth a chance to breathe. So my hope is that some of this is kept. My hope is that we're kinder coming out of this. And my hope is, I'm talking not work, but just in general, that we get more prepared for these kind of things in the future. I think there are going to be more pandemics and we're going to have to learn how to deal with them. So I hope this was a wake-up sign that isn't going to kill hundreds of millions of people, and yet it makes us prepared for it. So that's just very personal, but that's kind of where I am.
Actually, that's what I was hoping you'd answer, is from your heart and what you're hoping for from your heart. So I think a lot of people will benefit from that. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think the most important thing is each one, and it was your very first question, what are you doing to take care of yourselves? Mm-hmm. Being aware of the signs of stress that each of us have as soon as they start, and dealing with that in a healthy way I think is the best thing we can all do. Just the self-awareness that when I get stressed, this is what happens. I get a headache, I get eczema, I get my stomach goes back, whatever it is. Soon as that starts, do something and stop it from getting worse, because it is a stressful time. So that would be the only other thing I'd say.
Wonderful words of wisdom and terrific insights. Bonnie, thank you for being with us today. And on behalf of Xavier University Center for Women in Business and the Xavier Leadership Center, we really appreciate all the wisdom that you've shared today, and good luck with everything you're doing to lead through this pandemic.
Thank you so much, Chrissy, for having me.